Community Corner is a program that highlights the contributions of volunteer organizations, groups like the American Red Cross, Habitat for Humanity, and Crime Stoppers. These are the sorts of groups where people don't get involved because they want to make any money, but they want to make a difference. Welcome to another edition of Community Corner. I'm Richard Sennett, and we're here to talk about the unsung heroes in Ventura County, those who in the nonprofits who do so much to make the quality of life here in Ventura County the high standard that it is today. We're very pleased to have with us two people from Straight Up, a group I've never heard of before. Straight Up, you do good work with young people. And we have with us Katherine Kasmir and Matthew Goodkin-Gold, right? I hope I pronounced that correctly. Now, what exactly is Straight Up?
Well, Straight Up is a program. Our nonprofit organization is Westside Cultural Center. And Straight Up, our mission is to engage young people in reducing underage and binge drinking and impaired driving. We're also working lately on marijuana and prescription and over-the-counter drug abuse. So really the focus is on getting young people involved and trying to make a difference in their community.
It sounds like a worthy goal. I know this is a terrible killer. How many young people a year are taken by just drinking?
Well, the last I heard, it's almost 6,000 young people in the United States that die from either their own underage drinking or because of someone else who's underage who's been drinking and perhaps driving or violent. So it's a pretty serious issue. And in our community, we see alcohol poisonings, we see car crashes, as well as things like unintended pregnancies and unfortunately sexual assaults and things that happen when young people are drinking and when people are drinking too much and getting out of control.
So it's quite a goal you have to try to curb this because it's so ingrained, unfortunately, in our culture. Now, how old is your organization?
Well, this is our 7th year.
7 years.
We started 7 years ago with funding from Ventura County Behavioral Health Department. So our community and law enforcement were looking at what was going on and all the tragedies that were happening in our community and really wanted to look at a way to change the social norms. So not just lecture young people and scare them into behaving, but really get them to work with us to change what's normal and not only what young people do, but how alcohol is sold and served in our community and what kind of social norms kids understand. What does our community really say by the way we act about what's okay and what's not in terms of drinking?
Well, how would you go about trying to change something like that in the youth culture?
Well, there's a lot of things that are happening in our county. So law enforcement are working and the county is working on programs for prevention. And our part of it really is involving young people like Matthew here. We thought that, instead of just lecturing young kids, we want to hear what they had to say. So we started going into high school and college classrooms, and now we're in middle school classrooms also. And we're hearing what young people have to say. We use what we call social change theater techniques. And
what exactly is that? You put on a little play or something?
Well, no, we actually break the young people up and we have them work together. We use theater techniques to get them discussing amongst themselves and with us. What do they see as problems in their community? So what do they see happening around alcohol? What's normal? What do they think about that? And what things might they want to change? And really look into it, their ideas for change. And then if they're interested in taking it further beyond that classroom, they can get involved with us and they can be part of a project. So some of the projects involve video production, making PSAs, others is outreach to their peers. Young people also say we really need to be reaching out to parents. Parents need to get a clue around this issue and really kind of work on changing family policies so that we can keep our own kids safe and changing some of the norms between parents so that we're keeping track of our kids and we're talking to each other about what's going on with them.
Yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, in the scramble of making a day's living, many people put their own kids under the bus. They just kind of dismiss them. Or you're fighting against their own culture, where the way they grew up back in the 50s or 60s, where drinking and abuse of drugs were common among young people.
And it's also, at this point in time, it's much different than it was then, and parents don't quite understand that. They tend to think it is what it was when they were growing up, and it's become more the party culture and the culture around the drinking has changed.
How has it changed? That's a good observation. How is it different now from say the 60s, our generation?
Right. Well, one of the things would be how young people are communicating with each other, which makes a difference to how they're getting alcohol, how they're getting to those settings. And so, for example, young people could be going to a party for people that they don't even know. They can find, about parties by texting around or looking online. So parents can't assume that at a party it's going to be just a group of kids and their own friends. There could be people from who knows where. So that's one thing. And also, if the police come and break up a party, the kids can just leave and text and find another place to go. It's so much easier for them to get to places where they can get to the alcohol.
So social networking, which is actually being used in a kind of destructive way, so that they can live out their fantasies of party going or whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, And then I think sometimes parents don't understand how serious the levels of drinking that are happening. So it's not just like kids getting together and having some beer out behind the barn or something. I mean, it's more where they're really drinking to really dangerous levels, getting passed out drunk, playing tricks on each other and posting pictures on the internet. Parents may not realize how sexualized these environments get and how related sex and alcohol are even for teens. So those are some of the things we want to know. I'd love Matthew to tell you about the reality parties for parents, one of the ways that we're trying to help parents understand the truth around this.
Yeah, well, what is this reality party?
So the goal of the reality parties is to show parents part of what the culture is. So we, either in a stage format or in a house party format, we go to a household and in different rooms we portray different aspects of parties. And these are things that the organization has been told by kids are very common, and they just act them out for the parents.
So it's sort of like a little play in which the parents may come to a home that's set up as a party site, and then they can go from room to room and see exactly what's going down. Now, it sounds like a great way to teach by actually getting them involved. What sort of things would happen in each room?
So typically there's a room that involves, drinking games. There is a room that involves a scene that is a typical sort of fight that might break out, and then there's a bedroom scene that is about rape and sexual assault.
So obviously we're not going to be reenacting a sexual assault, but the parents
no, it's right. Acting, obviously.
Right. They're not really acting out. So what like several different things. As parents come in, it's like a half-hour tour. So a group of parents will set up, and we've scheduled each half hour. So in the living room, they're talking about how do they find out about parties, how do they get away with going to them. In the next room, they'll move on and see some drinking games, so they can see how easily someone can get to drinking to really dangerous levels and the kind of social pressure that there is around that. A fight breaks out, the kids talk about where they get the alcohol, and I think the bedroom scene's probably the most powerful, and in that room we just have it darkened, and the kids are kind of in vignettes around the room with candles, and they're just saying the lines that we heard young people say over and over again in these workshops that we've done with probably about 10,000 young people have been through these workshops around sex and alcohol, and it's oftentimes brings the parents to tears.